lucky today, I think he could spring an upset. He will certainly need to improve his lag. I think it's important for Low Ho Sum to immediately make his presence felt and place Bingham under pressure. And as with the first match, that one ball finding its way into the centre pocket. On this occasion, though, the two not playing ball. At the age of 25, Low Ho Sum is 22 years the junior of Bingham. I think it's fair to say that the highlight of Low Ho Sum's career so far was when he got the wild card into the World Pool Masters last year. He beat Shane Van Boning on the way to the final before losing to Joshua Filler.
Yeah, and really had a chance in that final. Didn't really, I wouldn't say let one get by or anything, but played hard and really pushed Josh quite a bit in that final. Josh obviously getting the win, deserving the win, but really Low Ho Sum made a name for himself that week.
One of Stuart Bingham's great scoring attributes is the fact that he's made 9 147s in tournament play. Only Ronnie O'Sullivan, John Higgins and Stephen Hendry have made more. I think that underlines what a great player he is. He's made over 500 centuries in professional competition.
Wow, that's amazing. And of course, like you said, a long career. And one thing that I think will bode well for Stuart, he's going to probably go with what he knows a little bit more than maybe what some would say is the correct shot. Just like right there on that safety, not a normal safety you would see from most of the pool players, but understanding the very good control of the cue ball and getting the one ball snooker out in the middle of the table. Not easy, but well done.
You know the old saying in show business, he took 15 years or whatever to become an overnight sensation. Well, that was the case with Stuart Bingham. He didn't win his first world ranking event until he was 35. The Australian Goldfields Open down in Victoria beat Mark Williams 9-8 in the final. And from then on, went from strength to strength. So much so, Jeremy, that at one point he was number 2 in the rankings.
Well, that just shows you the resolve, you know, waiting that long, continual grind for many years before getting your first victory. And it's just, you know, cue sports, just like anything else, not easy to win. You know, you see some, of course, now we have so many tournaments, things are going to change as far as some players getting victories, but still few and far between.
Yes, and he's still a real competitor. Won the Masters, which is the game's biggest invitation event, only 3 years ago, and now he's got the first chance after the scratch, the unlikely scratch from Low Ho Sum.
Yeah, and you can tell the adrenaline for Stuart is going, especially not knowing him, but right into competitive mode. If you could tell the snooker players, they kind of stand instead of sitting, you know, especially when they know it's going to be a safety coming and they're coming back to the table quickly. You could see that from Stuart, eager to get back to the table. A lot of power coming here, and a little side as well. Needs a little bump on the red.
Well, two expansive shots, one after the next. Look at that.
Well, again, using just as Q Sports, you know, kind of finesse and knowledge. That's another safety that you just wouldn't see a whole lot from our normal pool players.
Seemed there as though the felt had turned to Velcro with the spin he'd got on.
Yeah, put a lot of check on it. And it's amazing when you raise the butt end of the cue what you can do with the cue ball.
Low Ho Sum very fortunate there, catching the red 3 ball too thin. Almost scratching. In the end, working out pretty well.
And I think Stuart can get a piece of the red, but can he do much with it? Well, really nice shot from an awkward situation.
I definitely think he's got the imagination to succeed. Whether he's got the experience, that's another thing.
Lost the ball in hand. Lost the cue ball again, serving up ball in hand. A lot more open opportunity now for Stuart. Try and knock a few balls in, clear the table, get on the board early.
Don't know whether this will apply in the world of pool, but I think it's worth saying this anyway. Bingham's one of those players, I've seen him have some terrible days where he looks awful, and then on others he looks phenomenal. I won't say he's the most consistent snooker player we've ever come across, but at his best, wow.
Well, like you said in the interview, watching the game for so long, understanding the differences in a lot of shots. You run the cue ball so much more, a little side spin added. Definitely more often than you would see on the snooker table. Trying to use really the natural path of the cue ball a little bit more. And you can see the class, just the way the cue ball kind of cozies and moves around the table.
Yeah, he strikes that cue ball with terrific authority. And there you go. Ball run Bingham is making a run, and the first to one. Low Ho Sum now realises that This is not some old veteran who's playing the game for the first time. It's someone who can play to a high level. You know, I suspected he was interested in playing 9-ball pool because over the last few years, when I've seen him at snooker tournaments, he's come over and we've had a chat and he's mentioned pool quite often. A lot of the snooker players, you know, are becoming more and more aware of just how good this game is.
Yeah, well, I think seeing more of the better players play the game a bit more with the tighter pockets and the rule changes, just like the fans themselves, you know. I think for a while the amateur fans back home, they thought the break and runs were the way to go, but once they started to see, you know, the exchanges between the players, and you're still going to have tons of break and runs and tons of run-outs, but there's so much more to the game. Okay, missing the one on the side. Did get a ball down.
Just a little bit of housekeeping for you. Having seen Duong Kwang when he first matched today, there was an unanswered question. Who would he play next? Well, it will be Jonas Kornmesser. The Austrian beat Bledar Kochi of Albania 9-5.
Overran a little bit with the cue ball, trying to get up behind the three, the red three. But I think what you're going to see from Stuart is recognizing maybe I don't know all the shots, but I'm not going to leave anything super easy. And there you have him, again, engaged, not realizing that most of us pool players, we usually sit whenever our opponent's at the table, where snooker's quite different.
And also on that shot, one of the things that's hardwired into the minds of snooker players is the importance, when you're playing safe, of getting the object ball safe, and that's what he did with the one.
Yeah, and a couple glaring mistakes by Loho Sum in the first rack, so could start to feel a little pressure early.
Mark Bosch de Bosch, the big breaking Dutchman who reached the final of the Spanish Open recently. He's just starting out on table 25 against Ingo Lamberti. It's a cracking day, it really is. Young Claudio Cacci is through. He's beaten Marcus Feistermuller 9-4. Chris Melling in a battle with Yuma Dorma. It's 6-6 there. And another player we'll tell you about as he continues on, Skylar Woodward, just starting out against Ragnar Gronsten from Sweden.
Oh, nice shot there. Just a little thin hit on the one off the rail first. May have left the combination, but the safety I was seeing from Stuart in the last inning, his last visit, as you say, in snooker, to the table. Again, not the most traditional safety, but very effective. I think Skylar Woodward may be a situation like we saw with Alex Pagulayan earlier. During the break between the first and second match here on the main table, spoke with Brendan, our tournament director, and he said that he was told good chance that Skylar's opponent didn't make the tournament, so we'll see.
I was at a tournament once, snooker event, and someone came up to a player, I won't name, and said, I'm afraid you've got to buy in the first round. Your opponent hasn't turned up. And the player said, well, I'm not afraid. I'm delighted. Can I have 6 more, please, and give me the trophy?
Yeah, I was thinking he may come down by the pink here. And that's where he kind of stunned off the ball, and that's what he's used to where if you understand you can apply a lot of side spin, you can kind of roll off of that one ball and really hold the one on the top rail rather than the one kind of escaping here and giving up a shot. But again, not leaving anything easy for Low Ho Sum to get started. Doable, yes, but not easy.
Well, after a pot of that quality, didn't really deserve to leave the cue ball banging behind the 6. Can't be too displeased about that one.
No, and another super thin hit on a jump shot. We saw his last. Trying to take on, I think it was the red 3 as well, in the right middle. In game number 1, I believe it was. Now, right on the fence here, being able to cut this ball in. It's another one, if you're used to side spin, kind of throwing the ball in, a little bit more of an opportunity to go offensive. I think you're going to see a safety, though, to come a couple rails by the 8. Oh, he did try to go for the make. Almost let the cue ball get lost in this lower right corner. Now here he has to make a decision. Do I go right of the 6 or left of the 6? Looks like straight high ball may go into the 6, which could cause a problem.
Missed the 3 by a mile, and yet he walks away from the table with Bingham in a full ball hook. By the way, on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel, Table 2 action continues with Francisco Sanchez Ruiz against Yanni Siikkanen, and FSR already 5-0 ahead.
Looks like some queuing to play this combo, trying to come back with the cue ball. A little bit of a backdoor safety. FSR, who was announced yesterday, as will an American player later in the week for the Mosconi Cup. So Europe's first on the board, and of course very deserving.
Yes, and despite all of his success, FSR made his debut in the Mosconi Cup in Las Vegas last year. Inevitably, you're going to be edgy because it's an atmosphere that's not created anywhere else on the planet. So I think second time around he's going to be even more potent than he was on his debut.
Yeah, it wasn't his best Mosconi Cup, but I mean that's just kind of how it is, especially, you know, so much expectation from him even in his first Mosconi Cup, just because of how he's performed, you know, on the single side of things in our sport. But like Kachi, I think maybe Kachi had struggled the first year, but then came on to be, you know, I think a very solid player for Team Europe, and I think the same for FSR.
Another clever shot from Stuart Bingham.
Again, it's not always going to be the traditional play, it looks like, but they all have merit and some value, and again, keeping Low Ho Sum off of anything easy to get started here in this match. Does he go for this? Does he bang it around the table? Probably tries to make it. He's consistently overcut every jump shot so far.
And consistently getting away with the misjudgments. Now that was the worst shot that Bingham's played so far. Don't know whether he anticipated the cue ball moving a little more forward to be behind the brown 7, or whether he went for the bank wholeheartedly.
Tell you, a little different than I thought he would play, going 4 rails here. Nice shot there on the pink, but nothing easy here on the green 6. He's got to draw the cue ball past the side.
He will be feeling better when this 9-ball enters the pocket. Loho Sum equalises at 1-1. By the way, the winner of this will take on Yannick Putsch of here in Germany, or the player who's travelled the greatest distance to be involved in this tournament, New Zealand's Sullivan Clark. They're just starting out on table 22. I think you're right about Skylar Woodward, by the way. His opponent hasn't shown yet. Woodward getting extra racks on the board. We'll get to a point in a few moments' time where the match will be awarded in his favour. Tommy Tokov 7-5 down against Khan Salim. Chris Melling 7-6 down against Yuma Dormer. That would be an interesting result if Dormer were to get the victory. That would knock Melling back on his heels immediately.
Yeah, and you never know. I don't know Dormer, but any of the German contingent that aren't the big names, you cannot take lightly. They showed us last year with so many impressive wins and then even some impressive losses against some great players. Some very close matches. Table 1 here definitely looks like it's breaking better on day 2 than we saw in our opening round matches yesterday. And it looks like the 3 passes the 7, so a big shot here on the 2 to the upper right, trying to kind of wrap that upper left corner with the cue ball and coming 2 rails towards the center. It's a little touchy.
This is a real match. You can't say the same thing for table 2. We've already seen a whitewash over there, achieved by Ko Ping Chung, and now Francisco Sanchez Ruiz looks well on the way to another.
Now, of course, these players are at the table and they see it best, but that angle, I thought he could hit a high ball and get to the top rail with the cue ball, but he saw it differently, trying to cut it in with a low running English, low right spin. Caught it a little thin and lost the cue ball in the corner. Okay, in perfect position here to come 1 rail up to the center of the table.
Yes, and with Bingham's renowned cue ball control, this really should be 2-1.
He has options here. He can stun around the 5. I kind of like the 1 rail myself. Just maybe lost focus with the pot there on the red 3. It did appear part of the pocket was blocked by the brown 7.
Yes, it wasn't a full pocket, you're right, Jeremy, but even so, that was a real blunder.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what happens is, especially these 2 tables we have here for the streaming the first 4 days and then on into the single elimination round, but with the lighting and everything, the ball's cut a little easier, I think, and maybe that got Stuart right there. Maybe just a little lack of focus worrying about the cue ball.
And let's not forget that when snooker players started to appear in pool events, it was at the US Open with Judd Trump, and he's one of the most phenomenal potters on a snooker table you're ever likely to see, and he missed some sitters.
That's got to go a little bit. Not sure where he was trying to go exactly, but being the right-hander, he can reach this and maybe a little edge on edge taking on the cut. Very hard for the players to pass on an offensive shot like this when they're close to it. They feel like the cut is about 100%. Cue ball's going to have a little speed.
I really wish I'd said something there. As he was lining up that shot, I was convinced he was going to overcut it. It just looked that way. The alignment was the problem.
Yeah, and it's funny, you can get the feelings just seeing so many matches, you know, that we work and seeing so many things. You know, usually, a lot of times you're right. It's not something that you're going to question as a commentator very often. But what happens is you just kind of see it from here time to time, and more often than not, you're right. All right, a little funny here. Okay, nice smart shot there, taking the angle on the 8 instead of trying to come around, maybe getting straight, maybe getting on the rail with the cue ball. Oh, this is going to have to go a little bit. This could get married onto the 9.
Nicely banked. When the cue ball and the object ball are close together like that, it is tough to judge sometimes the angle required. And the 9 just about crept in off that near jaw. It was questionable going towards the pocket, but it went in anyway, and Bingham leads by 2 racks to 1. His inexperience showing through. Even then, he's in front. We've seen a couple of the Ko brothers already negotiate their opening match. Ko Ping-han is trying to make it 3, and he's doing okay. He's 4-1 up on Hua Win. Sanyan Perlovanovic 5-1 up on Jorg Velcher. John Morra has recorded a win, 9-3 over Klaus Richter. Same for Kostas Koukiadakis, 9-3. Pretty much all of the matches that started out at 10 o'clock this morning local time are now over. Zhao Griot, he beat Christian Reimering 9-4. Michael Schneider, 9-5 winner. And Billy Thorpe, how about this for a start? 5-1 up on Hannes Stiller. By the way, yesterday we were talking, weren't we, about a gentleman who appeared on our scoreboard. We were saying what a great name it was, Mountain Patrick. Well, it turns out that the names were transposed when they were entered. The guy's name is Patrick Mountain, which is still a good name, but not quite as good as Mountain Patrick.
Yeah, I agree.
If he's ever on the main table, we'll be hoping he hits peak form.
That's right. All right, not the break off just yet. We saw him practice, but hasn't been terrible. Just didn't get the one down. Same thing, a little short in the side. So Low Ho Sum trailing 2-1 comes to the table with a shot on the one, but nothing easy. Cue ball near the rail. Quite a bit of traffic to get on a blue 2 that maybe narrowly goes by the pink in the lower left corner.
Low Ho Sum not the only Hong Kong youngster involved at the moment. Robbie Capito on table 4 has shared the first 4 racks with Hassan Shahid. He's just won the 5th, so Capito 3-2 ahead. Again, the balls could have gone anywhere. Overcutting is the theme for Low Ho Sum in this match.
Yeah, and anything with any power has really been, you know, some bad miss-hits. Not the best execution. It looks like Stuart's just going to edge this over and run the cue ball.
By the way, table 2 has been whitewash central. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz wasted no time at all in beating Yanni Sikkonen 9-0.
Yeah, it's Stuart Bingham, I'll tell you. Of course, just being a great cue sports and cueman. Recognizing that Low Ho Sum, even though not knowing him really, recognizing he's struggling a little bit, so just doing his best in any awkward situation not to leave something easy. Now this is the difference. You want to kick, if you can, to the top cushion and come at the one. That way the cue ball may bleed over behind the pink, could pocket the one. I think a little better chance of getting a snooker. I think Stuart's first ball in hand, he's surrendered here to Low Ho Sum. And again, this is the type of situation for Sum. He can get, you know, get the arm a little more comfortable, make a little cleaner out here. I think he dropped his chalk into the upper right corner pocket. Won't be able to get back that back for a while.
We've had the next 2 matches on tables 1 and 2 confirmed. Next up on table 2, it's a second round contest between Viktor Zelinsky and Kristina Zlateva. As for table 1 at the conclusion of this match, lucky there to avoid a self-imposed snooker. Next match here on table 1, Mario He against Oliver Ortman.
Okay, he could come back for the corner, or the side is available for the green 6.
a more conventional rack falls to Lo Ho Sum. So for the second time, he draws level. First it was 1-1, now it's 2-2. On table 24, Raina La from Estonia on the hill against Phuong Nam Pham of Vietnam at 8-6. Emil Andre Gangflo, who impressed so greatly. Well, he's done so on more than one occasion actually this year. He's 2-0 up on Andre Schickling. There you can see Khan Salim on the hill against Tommy Tokov, 8-6. Oliver Sholnocki, former World Championship semi-finalist, having things pretty comfortable against Michael Barr at 6-1. Robbie Capito, as I said before, was held to 2-2 by Hassan Shahid. Now it's 5-2 Capito. And Skylar Woodward's opponent definitely has not shown.
Well, there's been nothing wrong with the break from Lo Ho Sum. Struggled here early in the match. Nice run in the last rack. These are big shots to get started and keep, confidence kind of brewing and heading in the correct direction. Easy to hit this a hair thick and bobble this ball. And he did get it a little thick, but pretty good stroke. Confident stroke. Opened the pocket up just a bit. Just enough, let's say. What you can do sometimes is, if you feel like you're a favorite in a match, of course he knows that Stuart is a very capable cueist, but you can kind of over-grind every ball trying to make sure you're doing things right, maybe playing safe a bit more than you should. And now Lo Ho Sum may be picking up the pace a little, trying to get some rhythm going.
Also, I think that he went into the match unsure about Bingham. He really was an unknown quantity. Having seen 4 racks, I think now he's at the point where he realises that in terms of know-how, Bingham's got an awful lot to learn. So maybe at the start he was intimidated, not so much now.
Yeah, and it's easy to have that little talk with yourself, like, hey, let's change things up. Let's get to knocking balls in. That's what we do. And looks like a lot more confident Lo Ho Sum here the last 2 racks than we saw at the very beginning of this match. And like I said before, he's made a few technical changes, improvements in my opinion. The back arm not near as far forward, much more at 90 degrees and perpendicular, which is ideal.
And for the first time, he leads because Bingham was 1-0 and 2-1 ahead. Now, though, out in front, it is Lo Ho Sum at 3-2. Fine Dutch player who's now back in the competitive field. Nick van den Berg, 2-0 up on Simon Zappi of Italy. Besar Spahiu, who was Eklund Kaci's partner for Albania in the World Cup, he's 5-2 up on Holger Via. Jan van Leerup 3-1 up on Isabella Laka from Poland. Tell you what, this is a fine venue, it really is. We're up on the balcony so we can overlook all of the tables. 26 of them in total. 256 players started out. Gradually that number is being whittled down. And when we get to the last 64, it will be single elimination. Right now it's double.
We had a break and run in the last, but now a dry break. The one narrowly missing. So Bingham back to the table. Yeah, everything here in Fulda's been great and very convenient for the players. The venue's so close. And it's really a quality spot we have here. Okay, probably crosses the 1 and runs the cue ball back towards the 2. And just kind of keep it simple. A little friendly bump on the 2, it looks like. Just shaving it to get a complete snooker.
Don't think I'm being one-eyed here, Jeremy, to say that Low Ho Sum has enjoyed some good fortune in this match so far.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a couple jump shots that really weren't his best. He got away with, excuse me. That was a little better, calmer stroke with the jump cue. I think all in all, he's settling in, and I think we're going to see a very close match here. Can't really pick the winner. Must be a little off angle. Can't easily push through on the 1 and get him up behind the brown 7. That would be ideal. Oh, he can, so that's definitely the shot. I don't know if he has a real 2-rail escape here, but around what would be the 3-5, just left of the 8 coming off the top rail, then the left side rail. I think this may kind of tighten up on him a little bit and end up missing a little right on the 1, our right side as the viewer. Yeah, oh, did he get a little piece of it? I guess not.
The action replay will confirm he did not.
Okay, Stuart with a very difficult out here. Difficult rack. The 3 a little covered up. The 4 down on the bottom. The 5 back up table. The 6 down on the bottom. So anytime you got to work the cue ball so much up and down the table, that's what makes the racks, for the most part, the most difficult. Besides just, some really awful congestion. Did he get much angle here to easily work the rock? If he can pocket this, come 2 rails to the center, that would be ideal.
Where the 5 was, I didn't think he would be able to overcut the 3, but he did, and it could be costly.
Yeah, and it's amazing how often that happens. You look at a shot and you're like, oh, let me get as much as this as I can. That's what's right for pocketing this ball, and it's sometimes more than you expect. I think Stuart was right with you. No way he could get in there and overcut that 3. Seen players have trouble with position play coming out of the pocket off of some of these balls hanging. Low Ho Sum could have done a little better there, and now should be all right to make the ball, but maybe a little funny with the cue ball. I'll tell you, he's had at times a pretty jerky delivery.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind he's under pressure, and I think it's because of the opposition.
I think he recognizes the class, really.
What you've got to realise is that snooker's a very big deal in Hong Kong. They played a tournament there last year, an invitation event, won by Ronnie O'Sullivan, which attracted world record crowds.
All right, that ball ran out just enough to make going forward not too awkward. And again, I think that's where Stuart will recognize the balls. The more he plays, the balls cut a little easier. And you'll notice it really never have hit one thick to the pocket. It's always been a hair thin.
For the third time, this match is all locked up. 1-1, 2-2, and now 3-3. Yes, that invitation event in Hong Kong last year on the snooker tour was a massive success. Something like 7,000 people watched the final. What made it, of course, was Hong Kong's top player Marco Fu had a 1-4-7 break in a deciding frame to win a match. That brought the house down. And with Ronnie O'Sullivan being so popular as well, getting to the final, it meant that all of the conditions were right, and so many people turned up for the final. It was the most watched snooker match ever.
Yeah, I'm assuming you mean in person the most watched ever. Yeah?
Oh yeah, not in terms of viewing figures, obviously, but yeah, actually in attendance at the venue. Never been a bigger crowd. Some of the photographs I saw were extraordinary. Of course, a snooker table is larger than a pool table, but it's still not all that big in a huge room. And some of the crowd were so far away, it must have been very difficult to see what was going on, but nevertheless, they showed up in record-breaking numbers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw some of those pictures you were talking about from that tournament. That's why I can't wait for Vietnam. I really think, you know, maybe 7,000 be pushing it. We'll see what big the venue and how many it holds, but I could see us getting definitely in the thousands daily.
You'll be mobbed, Jeremy. You'll need a security detail.
Well, I don't know about that, but should be fun. And looks like going a bit early for possibly another ranking event prior to the main event there in Hanoi. And this is what I saw when I saw him practicing. Very good break off. Much better than other snooker players when they're making their first time changing over. All right, he's got to just take the cut here. You got to think about the green 6 more than the 5 in this position here. Could go forward for a longer, straighter 5, but not easy position on the green 6. This is where Stuart, I've seen quickly already, very simple. Just come across, take a little more length on the green. He's going to use and come to the second rail. Drawing the ball past the side.
Likey snooker doesn't waste time.
Gonna draw this a little more than he maybe wanted. So just a little 9-ball you got to pay attention to.
That was into the heart of the pocket, and once more the lead changes hands. This time it's Bingham who edges in front at 4-3. There is a connection between these two because Loho Sum is part of the Hong Kong Q Sports program, which at the Hong Kong Sports Institute is overseen by a gentleman called Wayne Griffiths, who is the son of Terry Griffiths, who won the World Snooker Championship in 1979. So the name of Griffiths is on the same trophy as the name of Stuart Bingham. The story of Terry Griffiths was remarkable. He was the first player ever to win at the Crucible as a qualifier. It was his rookie season as a pro, and although he had a very good amateur career, no one really thought he could win the world title, and yet he did so in fantastic fashion.
All right, caught that one a little thick. Was Davis playing in that one in 79?
That might well have been his debut.
Okay.
Yeah, the defending champion in 79 was Ray Reardon, who is into his 90s now and still looking fighting fit. Ray Reardon won the title on 6 occasions.
Well, you said Wayne Griffiths, right?
Yeah, Wayne Griffiths is the coach in Hong Kong, and
Right.
he's the son of Terry.
I feel like I saw some interview with him recently on a social, maybe, or.
Well, Wayne was in Spain for the Spanish Open and the World Cup as well.
Okay, maybe that's where it was.
Yeah, the Griffiths family are really wonderful sporting family, because the other son, Darren, is a professional golfer who's head of teaching at Monterey Golf Club, which is in Portugal, and a Jack Nicklaus design, and very highly rated.
Okay, just a one-rail kick, it looks like, with a little, probably a light speed. That's the experience here. You want to try and get something awkward. Now, sometimes maybe he had to kick at that with more speed to straighten out the cue ball just to get the hit on the 2, but you'll learn if you keep playing it when there's balls near. The soft kick a lot of times really produces a lot of awkward situations for your opponent.
By the way, while I think about it, if you ever get offered a money match with Stuart Bingham on the golf course, a run for the hills, he's a club champion, he's an exceptional player.
Yeah, well, I have to have a little reference before I make a money match on the golf course. Just not that good of a player. Used to run around the country playing pool, playing anyone that would play, known or unknown, but not so much on the golf course, Phil.
Yeah, Bingham's to be avoided. He's very talented.
I wonder if he still plays a lot.
Not so much these days, although I think he keeps the hand in. But yeah, he was a club champion who had a very low handicap.
What part of the UK is he from again?
Well, he's from the same part of the UK as Ronnie
Northeast?
O'Sullivan and Steve Davis
Yeah.
from Essex.
Okay, better pull from Bingham. Seems like he's bringing out better pull from Loho some. Already had a few lead changes, several ties. And like I said earlier, I think this is going to be one that goes down to the wire.
Jeremy, you and I commentated on a hill-hill match yesterday on Table 1, which was a real delight. Johan Chua coming back from 8-4 down to beat Roman Hebler. And as you say, I can see this one going to the wire also.
All right, a little awkward flat, and he ate a little far away from the rails, so he's got to hit this well to move to the side rail and get back out for an easy 9. Used a lot of the pocket, playing the 8 to the upper left side of that upper right corner pocket. Now a routine 9 to tie this match.
Never more than one rack in it. A match that's living up to expectations. Once again, nothing to choose between them. It's 4-4. What about some other scores? Well, on Table 3, Petra Urban, who has represented the Czech Republic in the World Cup in the past, he's 3-1 up on Sebastian Rudek. Mark Bosch de Bosch, he's 5-1 up on Ingo Lamberti. Much further on down the bracket, Jan Schmeels has taken the first rack from Damien Massey. Sullivan Clark, the New Zealander, he's 4-1 up on Yannick Puch, and the winner of that will play the winner of the match we're watching right now. Tyler Steyer has made an agreeable start against Danny King. He leads 2-0. the third and youngest co-brother, Ko Ping Han, 7-1 up on Hua Win. Giuliano Smit leads the South African JJ Fall 3-0. And Sanjan Pilovanovic, very impressive, a 9-2 winner over Jorg Welsch.
A nice break off there. The cue ball on the bottom end, which does make things tougher. Does have a shot at the blue 2. Really ugly pink 4, which is next after he's pocketed the 1 and the 3 on the break. So a little bit of a difficult shot on the 2 and the side, but even tougher to draw some type of position on the pink 4. So we'll see.
For all of you watching in the good old USA, very good morning to you. Thank you for your company. And I've got some good news for you. Billy Thorpe, 8-1 up on Hannes Stiller.
Yeah, well, Billy getting back in form this year. He won a smaller ranking event. I believe it was in Florida, I think, in the fall part of the year. And, you know, just kind of grinding it out, trying to improve. And again, anytime power is needed, the transition hadn't been its best, and that was always going to be difficult anyways. I think getting any kind of shot on the 4 was going to be a tall task.
This is not a big statement, it's just true. Lo Ho Sum playing nowhere near the form he showed to get to that World Masters final last year. Nowhere near.
Yeah, he really struggled in the World Cup this past year and just a month or so ago. And of course, having those results at the Whirlpool Masters last year, maybe setting the bar a little high. Awkward here, banking the 2 towards the 7, trying to hold the cue ball behind the purple. He's going to play it lightly, trying to come behind the 8. Very nice. You could see it commended by Stuart, recognizing having to apply so much side spin from so far away.
The worst possible scenario, the scratch.
And I don't think he can get between the 7-9 to get at the 4, so he may have to open these. I don't know if I would open coming off the rail or if I'd set the cue ball on the rail gently behind the 2 and just kind of naturally go into those balls. I think you can depend on things happening how you want a little better, not using the rail here. Still should be okay.
Billy Thorpe has won 9-1 against Stiller. So not breaking sweat first time out.
Yeah, and Billy, who is a smart young man and has a lot of little different business endeavors, but has figured out, you know, with some unfortunate things a couple years ago, that back at it and pulls what he really wants to do. Once you're away from it from a little while, it's an easy reminder how much you truly love it. All right, little draw stroke here, shouldn't be a problem. This may be, I think, our 4th lead change of this match, just approaching halfway.
Yes, the ascendancy goes back to Lo Ho Sum. He's 5-4 up. The victory just recorded on table 12 for Hungary's Oliver Szolnoki, beating Michael Barra 9-2. Robbie Capito from Hong Kong 7-2 up on Hassan Shahid after being held to 2-2. Daniel Guttenberger 2-0 up on Herbert Köhler. Nick Vandenberg 3-2 up on Simon Zappi. And Besar Spahiu, who was Eklund Kaci's partner for Albania at the World Cup. Yes, he was the number 2, but he was most certainly not a liability. I thought he played some really good pool. Well, Besar is 8-2 up on the hill against Holger Veer.
Yeah, I agree. I was super impressed seeing the Albanian teamed up with Albania's best Eklund Kaci, but Besar played really some phenomenal pool. Had a few mistakes in the match. They lost, but to get knocked out of the event. But overall, see, he's improving. And watch out, cue ball.
No one can gain any domination in this match. It's one step forward, one back.
Yeah, whether it's a little mistake or a little bit unfortunate there, anytime, you know, we're going to have what looks like a lot of unfortunate scratches just because of the break rule, but these are set up super nice. I mean, not a whole lot of work here, not a whole lot of extra thought needed. Maybe a little work from the 5 to the 6 to the 7. But still a lot of options there. Kind of similar technique as Chris Milling, right? Very long backswing with a very obvious pause in the back.
Yeah, the one thing he does a little unconventionally in snooker terms, if you notice his bridge hand, the fingers on the felt aren't sort of straight out. A couple of them are quite bent. There you see, look.
I noticed he had pretty big hands as well. It looks like the backhand. I was watching just the cue action and the grip and whatnot. And looks like it just kind of swallows that cue stick, really. Nice shot there. Looks like a perfect cue ball to once again tie this match.
And this is what we like to see. Punch and counter punch. Nothing between them. 5-5. Very different story on table 14, where Ko Ping Han is on the verge of victory against Hua Win at 8-1. Tyler Steyer off to a flyer against Danny King at 4-0. The winner of our match will take on Sullivan Clark or Yannick Puch. It's 4-2 now to Clark. Very ambitious New Zealander who wants to rise to the top of this game and believes he can do so. And you've got to have belief. You've also got to have skill, patience, dedication, the whole package. There you can see on table 17, Mustafa Alner has taken the first rack from Robert Hart. If you don't know the story about him, well, he is Kevin Hart's brother, the American comedian.
Yeah, he and I talk quite often. Just on the phone the other night before flying over. And it's funny. Rob, of course, great guy and really funny guy like his brother, but he's very analytical. He's very much picking things apart, trying to improve his pool game, and there's no stone really left unturned when it comes to Rob Hart and Nineball pool.
I know, Jeremy, the family are from Philadelphia. Does he still live there?
Yes, he does. Yeah, actually, last year before the U.S. Open, I went and stayed with him for 4 or 5 days. and sparred with him a little bit, just trying to work on a few things, and really enjoyed my stay over there, and may do it again this year. We'll see. That's what we talked about the other day, and it's going to be a beautiful time of the year to be in the northeast of the United States right there at the end of September.
If you're unaware of the geography, Philadelphia's a very short drive from Atlantic City.
Yeah, about an hour's time is all, and very easy drive as well. One of the more common places to fly into to get to Atlantic City. A really nice shot here. He's put together a break and run earlier to take a lead, and now looking to do the same, crossing the halfway point of this match. And now recognizing, trying to set up natural angles to move the cue ball from one ball to the next. That's what you want to start to kind of naturally look at when playing 9-ball pool. Can go one rail or two. And I don't think this would be a shock to you, and just knowing the two players, not so much of a shock to me, but maybe to some. But you can recognize a little cleaner striking from Stuart than you would say overall from Lo Ho Sum in this match.
Absolutely. You can make a powerful argument to say that Lo Ho Sum is the better pool player, of course. But I think when it comes to the quality of cueing, the superior player is definitely Bingham. And he leads 6-5.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think we've seen Lo Ho Sum's complete best here in this match so far, so his cueing will improve given the opportunity.
Tyler Steyer continues to march on. He's 5-0 up on Danny King. Giuliano Smith 3-1 up on JJ Fall, a South African who plays in a lot of these events. He's a good player. Doesn't live in South Africa these days. He's based in the UK. I think he's a club owner in the great city of Manchester. Simon Corral and Vincent Gomez in round one, locked together at 6-6. And Yanni Uski, who goes under the radar always. He's 5-0 up on Martin Kramer.
Well, I think Yanni Uski is a player we're going to see. I don't know if he'll ever, or I shouldn't say ever, but anytime soon win one of these real big ones. But I think he's a guy that could slowly go up the rankings higher and higher each and every event, and maybe shock the world one day with a big win. 2-6 combo, very playable. Just go around the 4-5 for position. A little distance on the 2's okay. Now this half a pocket, remember early in the match, a 3-ball that got away. So now he's going to size up a 2-9 combination. Now he's probably going to shoot this with some speed. So if he makes it, good chance the 2-ball comes back into the cue ball. If he does shoot the combo. So we could have something kind of crazy happen with the cue ball here on a double kiss. He played it light, so he's a confident man cueing.
And that is a first in this match. It's the first 2-rack gap. It goes to Bingham at 7-5. I thought he played this one really nicely, actually. So Lo Ho Sum has got every reason to be a little concerned. All of the pressure on him. This isn't Bingham's territory. He's here to enjoy himself. And I think the distribution of pressure in this match is undoubtedly one-sided. All on Lo Ho Sum, very little on Bingham. He's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, well, I think Bingham, he wants to win, maybe. You know, being in so many situations on the snooker side of things throughout his career, pressure is just something he holds in a bit better. Like you said, a journeyman for a good part of the start of his career with no wins. Sticking to it, so been through it all. And probably a little unfortunate. Both times he had a break and run, it's been a dry break to follow, so he can't really follow it up and put more heat on Loho Sum.
For fans of the Ko brothers, I can tell you Ko Ping Han has beaten Hua Win 9-1.
Watch out, cue ball. Oh my.
Just skirting that purple 5-ball.
Now the draw stroke, trying to draw him a straight line to the rail and in between the pink and the blue. And you can immediately tell, you know, the class is just how the cue ball moves. It's easy to recognize a good player, in my opinion, just because of how the cue ball moves. It goes a long ways, but it's never going that fast, it seems, right?
Yeah, he generates spin and movement easily.
And as he said in the interview, Phil, maybe a little more comfortable getting through the racks initially than the other snooker players when they first hit the scene.
Yeah, he's a very humble fellow, likeable, popular on the circuit, Stuart Bingham. The year he won the World Championship in 2015, as he plays a poor positional shot there, but the year he won the World Championship, when he got to the semi-finals, that means it goes down from a 2-table situation to just 1 in the Crucible. And he was emotional about that, actually shed a tear because he wanted to be there so badly.
Big shot there, and he'll learn a little something from that previous shot. Anytime the ball's near the pocket, you get into the cue ball a little bit, really arcs the cue ball, and that's what cost him the position, but a great recovery. And I know it may be an obvious statement, but you can feel and kind of see the momentum rising here for Stuart.
The Essex Cuman making his debut in a World Nineball Tour event is on the hill against a World Masters runner-up. Stuart Bingham leads Loho Sum 8-5. A smile of satisfaction there. He loves it. He really loves competing.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, blood smells the same, right? No matter what discipline you're playing, and I think he smells a little blood here coming from Loho Sum and a chance to advance here in this first round.
Thing is, though, as we mentioned earlier, it's all right getting to the hill. Then, though, you've got to convert. Yesterday, we saw lots of matches where players were nearly home and couldn't quite open the door. In the background there, interesting, you've got Wojciech Szewczyk and Konrad Zhushin watching on. The two talented Poles want to see how this snooker fellow's doing.
All right, the one down. The two agreeing openly. And really the rest of the work besides the 2 is on the bottom end of the table, all fairly near each other. So you may say it's a big shot on the blue 2 to probably get through this rack and end this match. Well, that was center cut. And very confident.
Gary Wilson's had some success in 9-ball pool. He's beaten the likes of Thomas Kaplan, David Kioy, James Arenas, Mario He. But it wasn't immediate. Oh, as Bingham misses the 3. I was about to say, if he were to beat a player of Low Ho Sum standing in his very first outing, that would be something else. But the 3 stays on the table.
Yeah, and I think he, for once in this match, he kind of shot in between, trying to hold the ball, maybe not get to the second rail so much. I think if he lets the stroke out, he backs off and understands I can handle the 4 from way up the table. Really no chance of him missing that 3 ball. And what a nice shot there from Low Ho Sum. All right, do you play this? Do you come off the left side, trying to come some 1, 2, 3 rails, dropping the cue ball behind the purple? It's not easy. And when it's not easy with the safety, you're on the fence. Normally the players will go offensive. Difficult situation here. May go for the cut. Safety again, not easy. Yeah, looking to get him behind the 8, but man, that puts the 4 in a spot to where if you don't get behind the 8, you're probably giving up a nice shot on the pink. Let me just go for the cut here myself and let the cue ball run. He's going to put him behind the 8. Yeah, I like this right here. Take your chances. Odds are you're not going to get snookered. Now here he may have to kind of draw the ball into the 6, so a lot going on here. Could come out 2 rails and take the cut on the 6 and go up and down the table to get on the 7. Like this. Smart play. Really smart play. It's not easy, but at least it's in your hands.
Bingham, by and large, not falling into the trap that snooker players sometimes do when they play 9-ball pool, not trying to be too precise.
This is going to be overhit a little bit. It's going to make a difficult 7 and maybe even more difficult to get on the 8. All right, does he try to come back behind the 8 off of 1 cushion? You would kind of doubt he takes on the pot to the upper right, but it's not the worst in the world. Nothing to it, Phil. Never touched a rail.
I'm proud to be a snooker man, Jeremy. He's flown the flag with distinction. Stuart Bingham, how about that? Dynamic debut or what? Low Ho Sum feeling a little low right now because Stuart Bingham, 8 years removed from being the world snooker champion, has defeated the man from Hong Kong by 9 racks to 5. What a start to his pool.